Hey guys, Eric here. I am here with Georgina Haig. You know her from Fringe, you know her from Once Upon a Time. We're going to talk about The Mule, your new movie.
Yes.
Now, I've seen this movie. This is a very interesting movie. How would you pitch The Mule to people? How would you explain it?
Well, I'd call it a very interesting black comedy about a young guy, a down and out kind of, his friends think of him as a bit of a loser, and he basically gets convinced to become a drug mule and swallow 20 condoms of heroin. He gets caught at the airport in Melbourne, and basically then it becomes a ticking time bomb for him. He has to try to hold it in and not go to the toilet while the police hold him in custody, which is actually a hotel,
Right.
Well, it ends up being about 10 days. So he has to try to not go to the toilet for 10 days. And you see that journey. And it's quite a horrific one for him.
Yeah, as people might imagine. That's a difficult situation. Your character...
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, your character is his lawyer.
Yes.
And can you talk about her, because it's what I like about her is we've seen like the sleazy lawyer who's like, I'm going to get you off. She's not that, but she also knows that she's not like, oh, he's innocent. What do you think her approach is like to this situation? What she thinks about what's going on here?
Well, she works for legal aid. And yeah, she likes to think that she's going to make the world a better place and make a huge difference. But I think part of her also is quite frustrated at where she is in her job, and frustrated that she doesn't seem to be making as big a dent as she would like to be. And she secretly kind of does want a bit of the fame and fortune that maybe some of the higher profile criminal lawyers get. And I think, she's kind of in denial about that a bit. So then when his case comes along, she basically decides she's going to win it for him. She's going to get him media coverage, and she's going to make him a star, and thereby kind of making herself hopefully a little bit famous too. But she doesn't really want to admit that.
Right.
She wants to win and be noticed for it. And also the cops who are trying to get poor Ray, they are chauvinistic assholes.
Yes.
So she just wants to beat them as well. Like, she's also a woman in a man's world. It's set in 1982. So she's often dealing with a lot of sexism and all that stuff. So I think she also just wants to kind of beat the system and have a win and feel powerful.
Yeah, you talked about the sort of sexism she's dealing with. Hugo Weaving, you guys have a lot of scenes together, and he is old school, which is to say he has not changed with the times.
No.
And really says some really terrible things to your character.
He even still has a mustache, and it's 1982.
Still rocking the mustache.
Yeah.
But your character, like, she's impressively not flustered, not thrown by him. Do you think she's kind of just dealt with this type a lot of times?
I think so. I think she's had to deal with that a lot. And so I think she's noticed that if you give a reaction, that's what they want. And and also I think she's kind of playing with him a little bit too. He does make her flustered. Well, he does, try to make her flustered, and she tries not to let it get to her. But I think too, she wants to kind of give as good as he does. And playing opposite Hugo Weaving was so amazing, because he just, he kind of comes at you from so many different angles and with so much detail. And it was great to get to work with him and to try to match him, which was impossible, really, because it's Hugo Weaving.
The movie, Unavoidably, there's some scatological moments in the movie.
That's a great way to put it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your character, I think, for a while there, she holds up as well as she can in the face of this man going through his difficulties.
Yeah.
What was that like for you, though, just filming those scenes? And also, we were talking, there's a scene in this movie, I'm not going to give it away what it is, but there's a scene that's...
It's pretty intense.
Very intense. So what did you think, like, making the movie, but also seeing the finished product and what it all looks like?
Oh, well, I've only saw the finished product for the first time a few days ago, and I was just as shocked and appalled as everyone else in the audience, but I was impressed with how they made those moments work. At the end of the day, like, you'd think some people might be put off by films with, scatological themes or whatever, but I think yeah, the filmmakers are really clever in that they managed to make it quite shocking, but also you empathize with the lead character so much that that's really what you're there with him. You know, you want to see him make it through. So I think even though it might make some people squeamish, I think it's worth, you know, it's worth sitting through it, and you know, you will get through it. And crazily enough, it's quite entertaining to see, you know, this man try to beat the odds and try to beat his body.
Yeah.
You know, I think it plays on a lot of primal fears. The fact that, you know, he can't go to the toilet for 10 days. And I think it's a primal fear in all of us, the idea that we couldn't just relieve ourselves or whatever.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think it's kind of like not being able to look away from a car wreck, or, you know, like it's just, we're fascinated by how he's going to do it. And he has some very clever techniques in how he does manage to do it.
Quick thinking, yeah.
Yeah,
Quick thinking. This movie has a really impressive cast, and you know what really stuck out to me was that these are a lot of actors, all from Australia. You made the movie there. That, you know, a lot of people who've, you know, become very recognizable here. And we mentioned Hugo Weaving, you've got John Noble, and then, you know, even your filmmakers who are also your co-stars.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people might know them as the paranormal investigators in the Insidious movies.
Yeah, Lee Winnell did all the Saw.
Yeah,
films.
he wrote Saw as well. Is that kind of cool for you that, you know, you guys all from Australia come out here, you've had successful careers out here, but then you did get to go back to Australia and make this cool movie there together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were all kind of pinching ourselves a bit, all being in Melbourne. Melbourne's my hometown as well. I just think we all loved being there and loved getting to be in our own accents and tell a story that is so, I'm not sure if it's the themes are very Australian. It's actually based on a true story about a New Zealand man. But yeah, I think it did feel really special to be at home telling this story. And I know everyone likes to do that when they get the chance. When a good project comes up, they like to go home and work. And yeah, it was awesome. Like, it was just a great feeling to get to do that.
As a huge Fringe fan, I was sad though that you and John Noble are never on screen together. Did you at least see each other at the
you mean
getting
in
food?
the Mule?
In the Mule.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to see, you know, you were getting lunch and got to.
Oh yeah, like John is lovely, and we're friends, and he really took me under his wing when I went and did Fringe, because it was my first job in the US, and he kind of took me out for lunch and sat me down and said, ask me anything. And you know, that's such a generous, amazing thing to do. And you know, I've always been so grateful to him. And yeah, we had lots of fun on the Mule, even though we didn't have scenes together. I loved seeing him play such a dark character in contrast to Walter, who's just so loving and bubbly, and you know, like he plays that kind of very relaxed, controlled, evil very, very well.
Guy you don't want to mess with.
I know, it's scary, but yeah, it's wonderful.
The movie doesn't play it in a like kitschy, like look at this way, but how did you like the, or not like the 1980s fashion and hair?
I loved that. And I loved that it was set in 1982, and not just for the sake of it, like it had a really good reason. They wanted to put Ray's journey in front of, against the backdrop, I should say, of the America's Cup, which is a really famous yacht race, which America had won like for 100 years before that. And then that was the first time Australia had won it. And so that's a story of Australia kind of winning against all odds, and Ray's story is about him trying to win against all odds. So yeah, that was a great year to set it, and I love the aesthetics of it, and they did that all so well. Yeah, I just thought it looked brilliant. I think the style's really strong, and I think people like that. You know, it's nice to see a film that has a great mood and a great style, and yeah, and it was great having big hair.
Yes, yeah.
That was all mine, I have to say.
Wow, that was impressive.
Yeah, I was like, I want it to sit on my shoulders like an animal. Like I just wanted to sit, and they managed to do it. So I was very
It's
impressed.
like a mane. It's like a lion's mane.
Yeah, but I just think the setting in 1982 worked for so many reasons. And for the thriller, I think it's easy to do thrillers now and suspense movies when there's no mobile phones.
Yes.
It's so hard now because you're like, oh, have you found? Oh, he dropped a pin. It's right there.
Right.
You know, it's better in the 80s when it's, you know, people can't find each other as easily and people don't know what's going on with someone else, and you're not next to a landline. How do you get in touch with someone? But yeah, so I think the 80s was good. And the theme of winning and all of that is really strong in the film, and is great. I think a lot of people relate to that theme as well.
The Mule will be in theaters, on demand.
Yeah, please support The Mule because it's a great movie and it's so original and different, and I think people will really love it. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. For all things entertainment, keep it here at IGN.